Hey, thanks for watching my videos. This video I'm going to show our backyard and our front yard. So before I start out here, I thought I'd show you guys what I have cooking back here. Hostas. I actually had the deer eat off some of the hosta flowers there. It's always kind of a fun thing to have deer in town. We think it's kind of quaint, but then I think my hostas and my impatiens they're solid. So this is something I'm particularly proud of. This is what I refer to as my he shed, and I keep all sorts of pots in it so they're not strung all over. They're hauling dirt in the garage. Kind of like a chicken coop, right? And back here we also have some raspberries. I had how many containers I got of raspberries from that, just from that little trellis there. And then our apple tree is really full again this year. And it used to fall on Lisa while I was at the museum to pick up apples off the ground. But now that I'm here, that's my job, and it's a lot of apples. They're already starting to fall. I think they're kind of tasty. Grandma and Grandpa and I got that out of the old city dump here in Harper's. So that's got a Harper's history to it. Now rhubarb. And this whole area here I referred to as my weed hedge because the previous owner, Bill Ellis, had raspberries in here. And the raspberries are non-existent, but lots of weed trees, and I can't get that fencing out, so I keep it cut flush. So I just trimmed my dogwoods last night. These have only been here 4 years, and I'm not kidding. They were, just a little bush when I planted all 6 of them. And I think I probably trim those about 6 or 8 times a year. And then we have some dogwoods along here too. And you notice the leaves on the ground. It's a funny thing here in Harper's. We live in sand. Can't even call it dirt. So like our lilac loses its leaves every year this time of year. And usually I always blame it on a drought. We've had plenty of rain. It's self-defense mechanism protecting its roots. So it's kind of an eyesore, but it always comes back every year and blooms, thankfully. And we had red-winged blackbirds in there this year, which people think they're quaint until they're in your yard and they're dive bombing you when you're mowing. Right, Lisa? These are our dogwood bushes I just planted, like I said, 4 years ago. And then also this year, I decided to paint. I had this iron furniture, this settee, that chair, and that chair. And they were always white in Waterloo. And black is kind of the end thing. Plus, historically, Victorian iron furniture was always often painted black, so I thought it looked a little sharper, so I painted that this year. And I did this little garden here too, with the sundial and the acanthus planter, which is one of my favorites. I love old concrete pieces. Oh, the pattern in it, and I mean, I don't know how old that is, but it's got some age to it. And then this garden started because when we first moved in here 4 years ago, this rose was in here, this climbing rose, which bloomed earlier this year. And there's also a chive on the other side over here. And so I thought, well, heck, why don't I have a garden in here? So I planted this leaping larch, which I like a lot. And they're pricey, but thankfully it took in this soil, in this sand. And then I keep it trimmed just so I can see its trunk because I want to see that it's a tree. From the road, if you don't trim it, it kind of just looks like a big, I don't know, heap of green. So, what else to point out here? I love my herons. I put some beads on them a while back, which is fun to catch in the sunlight. And our hydrangea's doing really well. I had, I tried this at least twice in Waterloo. I don't know why my hydrangeas never grew. I think it's because we picked maybe gift ones or something and tried to plant them. I don't know what happened, but this one's doing really well. So I'm tickled with that. And along here, nothing was here. Only thing that was out here in this yard were those hostas along the porch. So the sedum I got from a friend here in Harper's. And everything else I've planted. And I wanted a helter-skelter cottage look. I didn't want exactly everything in a row. So that's why the hydrangea, for instance, is outside of, and it's hot, that's why I have a sweat rag. I wanted the hydrangea off center to create more of a casual look. And my phlox is absolutely gorgeous this year. I've had this since I was probably, I don't know, 9 years old. It's taller than I am, and I'm 6'1", so. And man, it smells so good. It's been peeking at me through the window here to remind me to stake it, so I've got that accomplished finally. And then while we've been here, I've planted wildflower seeds, so some of this kind of thing comes back. Of course, my yarrow, which is a perennial. And then this, I just learned from a friend here in Harper's, is some kind of mint. And I had one little piece that I happened to bring it with a peony from Waterloo when we moved up here. And that stuff is all over this yard. I suppose some people would call it invasive. I love it because I've had a problem with voles this year eating my annuals in the ground. Maybe it's the smell. To me, it smells like black licorice. But I transplant that where I want an annual border, or annuals in the ground. And thankfully, they've left it alone. This is a fun thing over here. This is our downspout, which I put rocks in, and looks like a little, maybe a gnome home. That little wagon wheel Grandma bought for $10 when I was a kid for the trailer. So I had to keep that, of course. And then that's our patio and patio garden that I showed you guys earlier in our porch. Whoever's watching, it is, right? Then I'll show you what's blooming over here. My cosmos I started from seed. And they're just starting to bloom back here. You can see. And zinnias, oh my gosh, you can't love zinnias. My petunia looks kind of crummy right now. So I'll take that out and put something else in there later. And this is a funny thing. So this is a hibiscus. And years ago, Grandma tried to convince me that there was such a thing as a perennial hibiscus. And I said, baloney. It's not a hibiscus that comes back every year. Well, since we've been up here, I found one at a garden shop and planted it. And oh, it's fantastic. I might even have to take that Lisa's ornament she got from work out of here because that's kind of in the road there. Maybe not. And I don't know what this is. Came from seed. I buy wildflower seed mix and I throw it in because whatever grows in the sand, you're just lucky. So, more of my zinnias that I started from seed in the shanty. And my grass. This is a cement piece I found on the curb up here. I love free stuff. Even this little fountain here too, which I don't use it as a fountain, I just have water in it. But I got that free up here in the curb. And there's some more raspberries still coming even. I'll have to pick them and eat them when I'm out here and hungry. So what I mentioned earlier, that I use this mint as a border. So this is what I've done all around here. Because this spring when I planted my marigolds, within the next day, by the next morning I came out here to water and all the marigolds were gone, clear to the ground. And now that it was rabbits, come to find out it was voles. They ate most of my dusty. I usually do a Dusty Miller and marigold mix around here because I like a Victorian center garden. And so what else do I do? But I used what I already had and put these in. I'll turn around here too. So my idea of doing this was Now let's see what I got here. To create a little formal garden with a back hedge, some furniture, an urn, and then I can look at this from our dining room windows throughout the winter too. Maybe I'll put some winter stuff in that urn, maybe some things on that bench. I just wanted to create an enclosed little, I'm probably panning too quick here. I'm a novice, obviously. But just a little area here that looks enclosed like they used to have in formal English gardens. I want to also point out what's in this planter here. So I did just a mixture of things. Some hen and chickens, some sedum. This year I decided to do things I already had around in the yard. I usually used to buy a lot of annuals, and for various reasons I decided to use what I already had. And these were already in the dirt that I used to put in this pot. So these were kind of a surprise, these petunias. So that's fun. I like how this is all filled in. I think it's really pretty. So I'll show you our front yard too. Hopefully I'm not making this too long to load. And one thing that attracted us to this place, besides of course we're in Harper's, we had to live in Harper's, were the mature trees, the front hedge. So it creates a nice little quiet area. Here's some of my deer damage here. Fortunately, maybe they tried it and they didn't like it, so they left it alone. And I've got little things tucked in here and there. Here's a baby turtle. But its mother is watching very closely over here. So, and she's actually building a nest. I don't know, do they have stick nests? I saw somebody else up here in town had sticks in front of their turtles, so I decided to do that. I'll come around here so you can see our front yard. So that's the front view of our house. Like I said, our house was built in 1915. Looks nothing like it did originally. The front porch has been enclosed. But thankfully the guy that did it, he put in those large windows so when you're sitting inside, which you'll see in another video maybe, it feels like you're still on a porch. And I love urns. I did our numbers there. I just glued those on with it's called goop. Yeah, and they've stayed on there so far. I love urns, things to make the place look permanent and old. So, hope you enjoyed seeing our backyard and front yard. And I'm going to try to get other people here in town convinced to let me tape their yards and gardens. So if you're watching and you live in Harper's and you have a pretty yard, I'll probably blow up your phone and ask you to do some videos, because it's fun to share all this kind of stuff. So thanks for watching. Have a nice evening.